Today, we're going to tackle the theories presented by our group. Our main topic is the self, in which the focus of our theories reside on our own vision of ourselves, our self-image within the communication. Let's get started!
Symbolic Interactionism. Symbolic interactionism explains why people have various meanings to words or symbols as how they interpret messages. The behavioral pattern of the people will be based on these descriptive meanings because people behave according to their descriptive beliefs rather than the objective truth. This theory is a combination of three sociologists, George Herbert Mead, Charles Horton Cooley, and Herbert Bloomer. George Herbert Mead laid the groundwork with his discussion about the self. According to Mead, the self breaks down into two processes when human interaction takes place. I is the unorganized response of the self to the attitude of others. Me, in contrast, is a set of organized attitude of others that the individual assumes in response. Charles Horton Cooley, a friend of Mead, contributed the concept of the looking glass self with his statement of, I am not what I think I am, and I am not what you think I am. I am what you think I am. This means that as individuals, we define ourselves by how we think others perceives us. Herbert Bloomer, a student of Mead, coined the term symbolic interactionism. He stated that symbolic interactionism rests on the three principles. 1. That human beings act toward things on the basis of the meanings of things have for them. 2. That the meaning of such things is derived from the social interaction one has with one's fellows. 3. And that these meanings are handled in and modified through an interpretive process. In order to understand the theory, take a look at this story. Anna was walking home under the sun, and she got tired by the heat. Luckily, she saw a tree. A tree to Anna is a place to rest, with shade to protect her from the sun. So she laid against a tree. That's the first principle. While resting, her friend Bea saw her and said that the trees are infested by ants. Anna thought that the tree is a resting place, while Bea saw the tree as a home to insect instead. But she was quite happy where she was, and no ants were bothering her, so she continued to rest under the tree. That's second principle. While talking to Bea, she felt something crawling on her shoulder, and she suddenly felt something beat her. Turns out that the tree was infested with ants, so Anna thought that she will not sit down anymore under a tree. Anna's perception of the tree changed after her interaction with Bea. That's a third principle. Expectancy violation theory. Anne is about to start her first year in college. Anne is confident that she will make friends during the first day. She was also confident that she will do well in her academics. However, on the first day, she sat at the corner of the room, very uneasy with all the unfamiliar faces that surround her. Suddenly, her cheerful classmate named Mark approached her and sat beside her, which made her feel even more uneasy. Mark started telling her stories, leaning towards her to look at the things she prepared. The day continued and Mark stuck to Anne. Anne knew she wanted to have friends, but every time Mark moves close to her, she felt nervous. Mark noticed Anne's books and asked her about them. Anne then started talking about her favorite books and felt her nervousness fade. Eventually, they both felt relaxed talking and discovering facts about each other. Anne forgot she felt nervous in the first place, and she made a new friend. Her first day turned out remarkable. Expectancy violation theory, proposed by Judy Burgund, is mainly about expectations and nonverbal interactions in interpersonal communication. She later coined the term nonverbal as a theory expanded. This theory was based on the uncertainty reduction theory by Berger and Calabrese in 1975. Expectancy violation theory focuses mainly on proxemics, a nonverbal communication cue which uses space and distance. For instance, the distance between two friends and between an employee and their boss are significantly different and shows the relationship clearly. Expectancy violation theory has three assumptions given by West and Turner. First, people are driven by their expectations. Second, expectations are learned behavior. Third, nonverbal actions are responsible for people's predictions. Cognitive dissonance theory. Cognitive dissonance is the ability to hold two opposing beliefs. It refers to a situation involving conflicting attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. Leon Festinger, 1967, originally proposed the cognitive dissonance theory to explain a series of findings from experiments on self-justification. The original theory proposed that a natural motivation is to seek consistency among cognitions. Dissonance theory states that we should avoid dissonance and suggest having an inner drive to hold all our attitudes and behavior in harmony. This is known as the principle of cognitive consistency. When there is inconsistency between attitudes or behaviors, something must change to eliminate the dissonance. First is to reduce the importance of the dissonant beliefs, then add more consonant beliefs that outweigh the dissonant beliefs, or finally change the dissonant beliefs so they are no longer inconsistent. Consider someone who buys an expensive car but discovers then that it is not comfortable on long drives. Dissonance exists between his beliefs that he thinks a good car should also be a car that is comfortable. Dissonance could be eliminated by deciding that it is not matter since the car is mainly used for short trips. Reducing the importance of the dissonant beliefs or focusing on the car's strengths such as safety, appearance, handling, thereby adding more constant beliefs. The dissonance could also be eliminated by getting rid of the car, but this behavior is a lot harder to achieve than changing beliefs. Attribution Theory. Emily is the top of her class. Her grade in every subject is above average, and her strongest point is mathematics. During mathematics class, as it's her favorite subject, she would always volunteer to do board work. And whenever her classmates were having difficulty keeping up, she would willingly offer them free tutoring sessions. She is viewed by all her classmates a role model and a genuine friend. One day, upon entering the classroom, Emily didn't greet her classmates a good morning like she would normally do. Her classmate assumed she just forgot and greeted Emily first instead. To their confusion, Emily only nodded in response. The behavior went for a week. Her classmates started to realize there really was something wrong. One day, they took an examination in mathematics. When the results came out, they were surprised to find out Emily failed the test. Their suspicions were confirmed. When they were about to ask Emily what happened, she had already left. Their mathematics teacher got worried. He thought that maybe it was his fault. His teaching methods have become ineffective, which caused Emily to fail. Meanwhile, Emily's classmate thought maybe she had grown too confident that she would be able to pass the subject, exerting little to no effort, causing her to fail. In reality, neither assumptions were correct. Emily's little sister got sick, so she had been taking care of her for the past week instead of studying. At school, she would be too worried about her little sister that she would not be able to think clearly. This was the reason why she failed the test in mathematics. The mathematics teacher attributed the failure to a situational factor, while Emily's classmates attributed it to an internal factor. Both made attributions based on their perceptions of the situation.
This is an example of Fritz Heider's attribution theory. Attribution theory is a concern with how people interpret and explain the causes of other people's behavior. According to Heider, an internal attribution assigns the cause of a certain behavior to an emotion or an internal characteristic rather than an external force, while an external attribution assigns the behavior to a situation or an event that is outside a person's control. Coordinated meaning model. In 1980, a study was conducted by Burnett and Cronin, wherein they focused on the reactions during a social interaction as well as the action brought up to the point of the reaction. The theory tackles commonly regarding the cultural grasp of two people in a conversation, that it is informative and interactive as long as there is mutual comprehension. CMM initially has two frames. This would refer to the episode and the culture. The episode frame focuses on the sequence and speech with the beginning and an end held together by an excerpt or story. An example could be a flock of birds, and then the two talk about what the flock of birds means in their childhood.
Episodes would refer to the situation of the individuals, and the culture would refer to their experiences to said situation, to which could refer to memories of their or other people's experiences to which they know of. There are rules within the theory called the constructive and regulative rules. Constructive rules could refer to the importance of context and interpretation of any given topic or conversation. Regulative rules could refer to the response of the communicator. The regulative rule plays a major role because this would decide when the conversation would stop. A good example could be how in our country and Japan, the peace sign has a positive meaning, but in other countries, in the UK, it means war. CMM has three processes: coherence, coordination, and mystery. Coherence refers to how someone interprets the conversation. Coordination refers to the consistency of the person's words with their actions and reactions. Mystery refers to anything that can be thrown into the conversation as long as it has coherence and coordination. This concept can, however, be far from the topic as long as there is one minimal similarity within it. CMM has three models within the theory: the Daisy model, the Serpentine model, and the Lute model. The Serpentine model's best example would be gossip. It refers to a situation wherein one topic is relayed to another person, and that topic is sent to another person, and then the cycle continues. It's a way for them to branch out on conversation. The Daisy model refers to how one topic could branch out to other related topics connected to the central topic like petals on a flower head. The Lute model refers to lived, unknown stories, untold stories, unheard stories, told stories, and telling stories. It refers to adding more value and pizzazz in the story of conversation. This would in return branch out for communications to tell stories with better detail. A good example would be the history of Greek mythology.
An army veteran makes a trip to his son's house in their hometown for Christmas. There he sees his grandchildren eager to talk to him. His grandson almost instantly jumps to him and asks for an old war story. The old army veteran sits on a soft couch and tells the kids a story of his time at the war. He starts talking about his mates in his squadron and the lives lost and taken. He does, however, tell the funny times while he was in his squadron as well. He keeps asking and is suddenly interrupted by his granddaughter. She asks about something a friend told her about the war, and it was fun and exciting like in games. The grandfather counters by saying the war is scary and not all like in the video games. He tells about how important the lives of the allies and the enemies were. However, he then tells them that it was for their respective countries and for the honor. The grandchildren continue to ask about the details, although he would rather keep the other information to himself. He then states that he will tell them in the future.
Thank you, and we hope you learned a lot with this video.